French National Day commemorates the beginning of the French Revolution with the storming of the Bastille on July 14, 1789, as well as the Fête de la Fédération, I got that, which celebrated the unity of the French people on July 14, 1790. I will not pretend to know a lot about the French National Day, but the French ambassador to Ghana, His Excellency Frédéric Clavier, has joined us in the studio. So he will enlighten us more on the French National Day and what it means for people who are very close to the French people. Good morning. And good to have you back in the studio.
Thank you.
Should I say bonjour?
Bonjour.
And then bienvenue?
Merci.
Okay. I'm getting it right. Gradually I'll get there. But the French National Day, take us through the history. What exactly is the French National Day?
Well, the date, as you said, is July 1789, when the people of Paris took control of La Bastille. La Bastille was a prison where were jailed political prisoners without any fair judgment. And there were fighters against the monarchy. They wanted liberty, they wanted equality. And, the French Revolution is not a revolution for the French. It's a message for the world. Okay. It means that today we are fighting for liberty, for freedom, all over the world, in any institutions, in any country. So this is not, I repeat, the only National Day of France. It's the day of liberty for everybody in the world. And France is very supporting all the freedom fighters, all those who are fighting against tyranny, against an unfair system, and against radicalism, extremisms, and so it's a very universal message. And I'm very glad to know that we share these values with Ghana also.
That's fantastic, because I was just going to ask you what this day would mean to anybody outside France. But clearly, it goes beyond just a revolution in France. It goes beyond just what the French people believe in, but liberty in general, fighting against things that we think do not augur well for our very development.
Yes, because every one of us is born free, and the institutions, political institutions, are made for men and women to live in a fair society. So it can be different institutions. You can live in a monarchy, you can live in a republic, but the idea is that you have to be free for the education, you have to be free for your press, you have to be free for demonstrations, and so on. So it is very important to say that today this message of the French Revolution, and the French have made two more revolutions in 1813 and in 1848, to have definitely the French Republic. And I think we have opened the game. We have opened a door to say freedom first, and then equality and fraternity also. And that's why we are so in supporting the UN system, and Ghana does also. The UN system is the system for which there is equality between all the UN members to discuss and to try to find good solutions together.
Okay, now how is the day celebrated? I know, for instance, in Paris, I've seen one in Paris, and my oh my, it was spectacular. Champs-Élysées, that big long stretch, was overtaken by people. It was a very beautiful celebration. But apart from what I've just talked about, how else is the day celebrated in France?
Well, first, what is important to say is that we do celebrate the unity of a country, but also the diversity. It means unity in the diversity. And I think it's a good message, because it's also the message of Ghana. When I went in all the regions of Ghana, I felt on the ground the fact the country is a very united country, but there is also at the same time a very nice diversity of cultures, of behaviors, and what's the meaning is that unity in diversity is the future of the countries. And yes, you're right to say that it's first a feast, and people are gathering together in big cities, but also in very little villages around cultural events. We are dancing, there are fireworks, and we do celebrate the idea that we are a unique family. Every one of us, of the French, even if you are coming from Britain, from Southwest, you are a Basque, or coming from the north of the country, well, you are first a Frenchman, and that's why it is important.
Okay, so it's a holiday today.
It's a holiday, yes, a free day.
Fantastic. And apart from France, which will be celebrating this, that's what I talked about earlier on the Champs-Élysées. Yes. Very beautiful pictures there from the last event. But which other countries will be celebrating this day today?
Well, the European countries are associated to this military défilé. We have invited also some allied countries to be in Paris. This year it will be Mexico who will be invited.
Why Mexico?
Well, because we do have historical links with them. Ghana was invited last year due to the fact you have participated to a very important operation keeping of the UN in Mali. So Ghana was invited to participate to this military parade. So every year there is a country who is the special guest of France. And with the European friends, we do have some joint events. And in every country abroad in the world, we do have festivals. And in Ghana, the French alliances have special cultural programs to, have a nice national day.
Okay, let's now talk about the relationship between France and Africa. And I would want to zoom into Ghana. It's not the first time I'm talking to you about our cooperation and our trade links. But you're leaving the country after 4 years. And I know recently you talked to a media house, I think it was the Ghanaian Times, about some project you've launched with Ghana on transparency. Would you want to take us through?
Well, first, what was my first target was to have a fruitful political dialogue between France and Ghana. And this is the case. I'm very happy about that. We have created a political mechanism on every year basis to have exchange of views between France and Ghana about Africa, about Middle East, about the UN agenda. And today, we do have a very close political relation between our two countries. And it is very regular. So it is this point which is first very important. The second point is to sustain the partnership between the French and Ghanaian universities. And we have signed in 3 years through a conference. We do have on every year basis the Ghana-France Higher Education Conference. We have signed 10 MOUs between French and Ghanaian universities. And last June, we have signed a very important agreement, which is the recognition between France and Ghana, mutually recognition for the diplomats between France and Ghana. So it will permit for Ghanaian students to go to France to continue their PhD or masters, and for French students the same to go to Ghana. So the bridges between France and Ghana have been accelerated. And my third target was to create a Chamber of Commerce of France and Ghana in Ghana, to sustain and to accelerate the links between our two countries. That's what was created last year. And today we have around 1.2 billion euros of trade between France and Ghana. Very balanced between the two countries.
I like that. Very balanced.
Very balanced. It's a win-win situation.
Win-win. We like that. Anyway, so we're still talking to the French ambassador to Ghana about the French National Day. And he's actually taking us through the history of the French National Day and what it means for the 21st century world. But now we're talking about the relationship between France and Ghana, what we have seen, what we have benefited from the French, and the ambassador puts it rightly, it's been mutual, and we like that the balance is always very important, because a lot of the time you realize that sometimes the trade, for instance, is more tilted the other way. We don't take more to France, but we take a lot more from France. Would you want to comment on that?
Well, first, yes, what is important to France is to develop a win-win situation. 50 years after the independences, it is a clear picture that Africa has many capacities. When I do see that in Ghana, you do have so high level education system, through the different universities. I'm very struck by that. And when I'm meeting some French companies, for example, we do have 60 French companies working in Ghana. They do say to me... 60.
Wow.
And they do say to me, oh, Mr. Ambassador, we are very satisfied by the quality of the people working in our companies at the top management, but we do have a lack at the level of intermediate level, for vocational training. So I think that a country as Ghana has many capacities indeed. France is very confident because you do have industrial and agro-industrial capacities. You do have the human capacities. And for the French, the idea is to say Ghana is a pillar. It is a pillar of development. It is a pillar of democracy. It is a pillar of stability. And it is now to invest in the country. We had in the last months two very important investments. One coming from Bolloré for the extension of the Tema port, for example. Okay. It is 750 million euros for that, for Bolloré. And for the agro process, for example, Touton has decided to invest in cocoa industry in Ghana. So it means that the country has many capacities. What I would like to see is to see more SMEs, Ghanaian SMEs investing in France. And that's why I would like to work better with my Ghanaian counterparts to accelerate the capacities for Ghana to invest in France, because we do need more Ghana in France. And we do have to promote more and more the image of Ghana in my country. So I'm working for that. I'm working with my counterpart in Ghana, the Ghanaian ambassador in France. But it's very decisive because I think the door is open and we do need more Ghana in Europe and in France particularly.
Okay. Now you mentioned the Chamber of Commerce. And now you're saying that you have 60 French companies in Ghana. It means that this Chamber of Commerce has been very active.
Yes, she is very active.
Okay.
We do have today around 80 companies which are partners of the Chamber of Commerce. The idea is to give the good signals, the good informations of the Ghanaian market to invest in Ghana for the French SMEs, and the same to give to the Ghanaian SMEs the good informations to invest in France. And for that, I think it is very important to say that the two countries have to accelerate the bonds. I think if a francophone country such as France can succeed with a Ghanaian, with an English-speaking country as Ghana, it is creating for all the Anglophone countries the capacity to say, yes, Ghana is succeeding with France, why not us?
Okay, now these 60 companies, I'm sure you have regular interaction with them. What do they feel about the energy crisis? Have they mentioned it at any point in any conversation with you?
Well, yes, of course, but not only the French companies, the Ghanaian companies also, because
everybody's feeling it.
Yes. Well, the idea is to say, well, yes, this moment is a little bit difficult today, since now some months, but the government is giving the adequate responses. Of course, it is taking a little bit time, but we are comfortable to say that the gap of electricity will be reduced month by month. There is a plan today, and the French companies are saying, well, today on very short term there are some difficulties, but we know that the rebound of the economy of Ghana is there. We don't know when it is. It is in few months or in 1 year, but it will come. And as French ambassador, I'm very confident about that. When the MEDEF, which is the French Businessmen Association, the biggest one, came in Ghana last May, that's what they say to me and to President Mahama also, saying, well, we know the current difficulties, but all the countries in the world have difficulties. In France, we have our own difficulties. But if some corrective measures are taken in terms of budget and fiscal corrections, plus the support of IMF, we will go in a good track. And the French said, the 50 French companies coming from France for this visit in May said, we are optimistic. And it's now to invest in the country so that to have the opportunity to have new gains. But I repeat, what is important for me is to see also more Ghanaian investments in France. But France is optimistic for Ghana.
That's fantastic news. Let's talk about your time in Ghana. You've been here for 4 years. Wow. You're a Ghanaian now.
Well, I like to consider myself as a half French, half Ghanaian, but I've been so comfortable in your country, which is a fantastic country. I visited all the regions of Ghana, less one. I don't want to quote it, but I took very much time, and I've been fascinated by the diversity of Ghana, by your culture, by the fact that you are strong people, and I repeat what I said earlier, a united country, but in diversity. And I think it's really a good point for you and for the future.
Fantastic. Now, your time in Ghana, you said that you visited a lot of regions in this country, and you're going to leave next month. What kind of memories are you taking away, apart from seeing how united and peaceful the people are in this country? But what sort of memories would you be taking away?
Well, I think first it's a message of hope, because Ghana, that struck me very much, because I'm coming from Europe, and Ghana is a very optimistic country. When I met people, they said always to me, well, Mr. Ambassador, maybe it's difficult today, but things will go better tomorrow. And it's a fantastic message of hope, wherever you are, in cities or in the bush, in villages, that's the same. People are saying, well, we go forward, we go on, it will be better tomorrow than today. And it's sometimes a difference with Europe, because in Europe, people are complaining, saying it's too difficult, blah, blah, blah. Wherever the situation is quite good. So this is coming from Ghana, a message of hope, saying, I repeat, the future will be better than today.
Yeah. Did you try any Ghanaian dishes?
Yeah, well, yes. I do appreciate all.
Favorite?
Well, I do like very much, my fish with kenke. Yes. I do like very much the different soups which exist. The rice of a northern country is absolutely delicious.
Oh, you
good
do?
Vitamins.
You love it? Yes, it does.
So, yes, I'm very fond of the Ghanaian cooking, and I hope that I will be able to find a Ghanaian restaurant in Paris.
Oh, you will. Definitely. You definitely will. Now, I want to take you back to France. I mean, of course, we're talking about France, but you mentioned earlier that, a day like this, the French National Day, just reminds us to live in freedom. Not to sadden you too much, but I want to focus on Charlie Hebdo. Today, I mean, of course, it will test again the strength of the French people, because we saw how your president managed to rally everyone behind him after the events of that terrorist attack. What would this day mean for France, and what kind of signal would it send to terrorists?
Yes, well, this rally you mentioned was the most important one just after the Second World War. So it has been a shock for France, because it meant that inside the French collectivity, in the French community, we have people with French nationality who were able to make acts against the different elements of the population of France. So it has been a shock for that. And the reaction not came from the top of the government and from the president itself, but also from the roots of the country, saying we refuse to be under the oppression of radicalism, of extremism. We refuse that. This is not our values, which are Republican values. You can be a Catholic, a Muslim, or a Jew. You are first a French. And we have to take very care in France not to have communitarism system, because the French history is very different from other countries. We are working more on integration. It means wherever you come, even if you are coming from Ghana, but if you have the nationality of France, you give what you are, but inside the Republic. And you have to respect the law, you have to respect the education, you have to respect the values of the Republic, which are making that we can live together. So it was a signal of rejection of what is extremism and radicalism. And of course, France is not against Islam. That has no sense. But France is against all the radicalism coming from some of the religious system which doesn't accept the Republican view and the Republican values. So it's a fight. everywhere in the world, Europe, Asia, Africa, and America also. I'm sure that we will win because I repeat that our value is freedom. We will win, but it will take time.
Definitely. Now, do you oversee only Ghana?
Well, yes, because this country is in my heart.
Okay, but you got to visit other African countries?
Yes, I visited almost half of the continent.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and I like your continent very much.
Yeah.
But, it's like Europe. You don't have
Maybe
Africa.
when you retire from, being a diplomat, you can come back to Africa.
Well, I hope so.
To Ghana.
And I hope to live in Ghana.
That would be nice. Now, as you traveled across the continent, I'm sure you came across countries that are totally different from Ghana, even though our culture could be the same. Understanding, the way we go about our things are sometimes very different. Is there one thing that stood out for you that made Ghana very special, apart from the unity and the peace that everybody tells about Ghana?
Well, I think first your history. Because you do have a very big history since the 9th century, because I've studied your history since the 9th century. You had very big cultures and civilizations, and then you had the Ashanti system with the different other ethnical groups. Ghana has been a very organized system since centuries, a centralized system with power. And I've been fascinated by that. And then, after the independence, you came to a republic smoothly, without any difficulty. Then, yes, you had 20 years difficult, but there is a message of Ghana. Ghana is not, in my view, only a country. It's a message. And this message, in my view, is that you can be in the diversity, but you are a united country. You can sometimes have some difficulties, but you are first Ghanaian. And you resolve your problems, not with the help necessarily of outside, but by yourself, by finding in your identity what is your strength. And you can count on the support of your allied countries. So for me, it has been the most important message I received from Ghana.
All right. And another thing, I will not be forgiven if I don't mention visas. The French embassy stopped issuing visas.
Well, we do have an agreement with Netherlands, and the Netherlands consulate is delivering short-term visa for France. We do have a very few rejections. We do accept around between 90 and 91% of a request. Only 9% is rejected.
Okay.
So it means that France is very open. We are working in very close connection with the Netherlands consulate, and of course the Ghanaians are very welcome in France. We do need more Ghanaians in France. Businessmen, students. Of course, your file has to be complete. It has to. You have to travel for a good reason. But if you do, there's absolutely no problem. And I repeat, we are delivering around 5,000, but between 5,000 and 6,000 visas every year. We reject only 9% of the files. So it means that Ghana for France is not a problem because you don't have illegal migration.
Okay.
People are coming to make business for tourism and are coming back. So it works very well. We don't have any problem with Ghana.
Okay. Let me pick your thought on something that a lot of Ghanaians do talk about: the way they are treated at embassies and high commissions. You go and even a place to sit sometimes, to go in and process your visa becomes a problem. I know that the French, for a long time you had that problem, but at some point you came in and changed the system. Now there was a place for people to sit. That was very humanly. The Netherlands embassy has also tried to do something similar. People have a convenient place to sit. The British High Commission, they have also moved further up. They have a convenient place now at the Movenpick Hotel. But by and large, a lot of people do complain about the way they're treated at high commissions and embassies in this country for the missions.
Yeah, you are right to say that it is very important to receive in good conditions people who are requesting for visa, because this is the first door of a country you want to visit. And if you are not open, and if you are not dealing in correct manners people, it is not fair, and it is making obstacles to make visits. So you are quite clear, and I share your view that it is very important to have better and better conditions to receive those who are requesting visas, first. And second, is to be polite with people. If a document is failing, for example, you don't have to be aggressive. You have to explain things to the people, and then they will come back.
Were you receiving petitions from the public?
No. Well, in 4 years, maybe I had 2 or 3 complaints of people saying to me, "Oh, Mr. Ambassador, we have not been well received." And I gave instructions to my team, and I spoke with my counterpart of Netherlands, saying, well, we had a problem. Please take care to receive correctly, properly, the personalities first, and all those who are requesting visa. Myself, sometimes I'm requesting visa to other embassies. It is not sometimes easy, but for France, it's very important to receive in good conditions, adequate conditions, people who are requesting visas. If any difficulty, I'm giving instructions to have a better conditions. It is the rule number 1, and it's a question of image, because if people are received bad, they say, well, this country is not very open for us, and it is not true. So it is depending also of the personality of the officer who is receiving you, to give him good instructions to say, well, you have to be polite, you have to be open, you have to explain things. Surely you are under pressure because there are many people, but, well, it's your job.
Yeah. And before I let you go, would you say that a lot more Ghanaians are learning the French language now? When I was in school learning French, I didn't like French because my French teacher was so wicked anyway. But so I never took the French language seriously at that time. But by and large, are you seeing more people take an interest in the French language?
Yes, indeed.
I know the Alliance Française, for instance, gets oversubscribed.
Yes, indeed. Very much interest for the French language. I think it's important. Of course, for us, the French, the idea is not to change things because you are first an English-speaking country, but the idea is to have French as second official language in Ghana, behind English, and to develop this language, because you are surrounded by Francophone countries, and to make business, to make studies, blah, blah, blah. It is important to speak French, and because French is important in Europe also, and you can speak also French in different countries, Canada, Belgium,
Switzerland.
Yes, and southeast of Asia, Vietnam, Cambodia, etc. They do speak French. So French is very decisive today to business, to science, to university, etc. So we are promoting French, yes, through the Alliance Française. French is progressing also in junior high school and senior high school, but we would like, of course, to make better. So I'm in discussion with the Minister for Education for that. We will start a new program end of this year to sustain. It will be a program of around $1 million to sustain better French in Ghana. But, well, yes, I'm satisfied because I do see that there are more and more Ghanaians who are interested to speak French, and French is speaking is easy,
It is.
Don't hesitate to make mistakes.
It is actually. It is. Sometimes I like the way it flows on your tongue. The French language. Very nice language. Anyway, I have to say a big thank you.
Thank you
to you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Another bottle of champagne.
Yes, I would like to offer you
this
bottle of champagne coming from my
National
country
Day.
For French National Day.
All right, Benny is going very green. Benny, there's no point in getting upset and jealous.
And Mem is one of the top 5 French champagne.
Mem.
Mem.
Okay. What does it mean?
Well, it's a family name. It's a family name of the eastern part of France.
Right. Thank you very much. The French ambassador to Ghana, His Excellency Frederick Clavier. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.